We have just spoken about those skills that can make a counselor effective. But in order to practice these various skills as one goes through the various steps in counseling, in order to show these skills to carry them out effectively, the counselor has to have certain qualities within himself or within herself. These qualities become necessary in order to help the counselee develop that rapport with the counselor, wherein there will be trust and a sense of freedom to share. These qualities and rapport developing from the qualities will then aid exploration, as there is a sharing and ventilation of feelings, and in turn aid understanding and planning for action. The first quality that we will be discussing is that of empathy. Now, empathy is quite different from sympathy. As you all know, sympathy means, for example, saying to a person, "Oh, poor thing, I'm so sorry for you." But empathy is a bit different. It is not simply expressing one's concern and unhappiness about a person's situation. Empathy is putting yourself in the other person's shoes, getting into the other person's world and seeing that person's world as it is, experiencing that person's hurt as he or she is feeling it. And then one can share one's empathy with someone else to let them know that you are feeling as they are feeling. It is possible to express sympathy, "Poor thing, I'm sorry for you," at a superficial level without necessarily feeling as the person is feeling. But empathy is something deeper. It is saying to the person, "You must be very hurt, you must be very upset from what you have been saying. It must be a very damaging experience for you." And in saying this, in saying that I sense your hurt, I feel your hurt, one is saying then, I am putting myself in your shoes and sensing and feeling what you are feeling. So one must be able to do this so the client can know, well, my counselor, my church brother or sister or my pastor, he or she understands how I'm feeling. People wish to be understood most of all, so empathy is necessary. The next quality that we need to look at that helps the counselor to be effective is that of warmth and caring. Warmth and caring. The counselor can be warm and friendly, and in his manner, the way he looks at the client, the way he talks to the client, he can be saying to the person, "I accept you for who you are. I accept you as a human being, as a child of God. Regardless of however you may feel or think or behave, even if you think differently from I do, even if you are a bum, I still accept you." So regardless of the person, and regardless if they are doing something bad and immoral, or if the person is of a different race and class than yourself, you can still be warm, be caring of the person. Unless you are warm and caring, again the person will not feel that rapport, that sense of acceptance. This is hard to do. We do not always accept everybody else, but as a counselor, you have to learn this because Christ accepted all. A third quality that we need to develop in being effective counselors is that of non-judgmental respect. Now I know this is very hard to be non-judgmental. You remember in one presentation that we had where we had the counselor preaching at the client that he was being judgmental. You should not be living in sin. This is committing adultery because you are living with a man and you are not married. And it's very easy for us to be judgmental. Even in how we look sometimes, in our non-verbal expression, we can be judgmental. Somebody is saying, well, I'm having an affair. We can look very judgmental in our appearance. One has to be very careful about being judgmental in one's speech or in one's appearance as one looks at the counselee. Remember that this is one reason why many persons in churches and in the community will not go to a pastor and sometimes to a church leader because they feel that that person is going to judge them. So then, we must avoid being judgmental. We must respect the person, even if that person is a homosexual, a drug addict, a Rastafarian, whatever that person is that we might disagree with or not like. If the person is down in the gutter, if the person smells bad or dresses badly, we must still respect that person because he or she is a child of God. Remember that Christ came into the world to save sinners, of whom we are chief. So if Christ respected us as sinners, we must respect others as well and not judge them. Another quality that is very important in bringing about the rapport necessary to gain the exploration and ventilation, understanding and planning for action in counseling. Another quality is that of concreteness. That really means that one is able to stick to the point. Very often the counselee will stray from the point as they are sometimes confused, they don't wish to face the issue, they will stray. And you will remember in one of the role plays we had a while ago, the counselee was starting to talk about other men in the world and about someone she knew who had a boyfriend and didn't want to talk about the conflict she was having with this fellow who was not a Christian, relating to him when she knew that she felt that she should not be doing this. She was straying from the point. And the counselor had to get her back to the point. And this is being concrete, sticking to the point. So one has to have that quality of being able to keep to the point in the counseling interview. Here again, one has to be sometimes assertive. And it is difficult sometimes. For some of us, we tend to be so nice to people that we will just let them talk on and on. But one has to be concrete and keep to the point. A further quality that is necessary in counseling, effective counseling, is that of genuineness. Now sometimes when we are taking the role of counselor, we want the person to feel, that we are nice. Some people say nice and nice. So, we'll say, hello, Mrs. Jones, how are you? And we are trying to put on a front to try to impress the person. Now, that is not being genuine. Just be yourself. The person will detect that you're trying to act a role. If you are nice, you will be nice if you are just being yourself. Sometimes we try to put on a role as if we are an authority. Oh, well, Mrs. Brown, you see, this is how it goes. Again, we are trying to play the role of being an authority. Just act naturally. Be yourself. Be genuine. Sometimes the counselee might say something which is amusing. Nothing is wrong in smiling as long as the person is not too sensitive and as long as the person realizes that you are smiling at how amusing the situation might be. Or sometimes you might even feel tired and it shows on your face. Again, it's genuine to say to the counselee, well, look, I'm feeling a bit tired today, but let us talk all the same. Just be yourself, be genuine. The more genuine you are, the more the counselee will see that my counselor, my pastor, my church sister, or my church brother, my church leader is someone just a human being like myself, and they will feel more free to be open and to share with you. Another quality in counseling to make counseling effective is that of confrontation, a willingness to confront. Now you will remember that in one of the role plays a while ago, we had a situation where the counselor had to confront the client by asking her to reflect on what she said and also by giving an opinion through asking a question. Now, it is sometimes difficult for us to confront the counselee because we find that in doing so, we sometimes might make the person uncomfortable, we might be putting the person on the spot, or the person might even become angry at us for a while, or we may feel that they may become angry. So again, we play the nice guy and we let them go on in their inappropriate behavior, or let them avoid the topic, or let them be logical without trying to help them to see what they're doing or what they're saying or what they're thinking. But in order to help the person to understand himself or herself, what he or she is doing, understand the problem or his or her values, we have to be willing to confront. This involves being brave, because out of love, the Bible says that we must reprove the other person. We must be willing to reprove. At the same time, we must consider ourselves, lest we also be tempted. So confrontation must be done in a spirit of humility and also with great tenderness and diplomacy, and especially without judgment. So confrontation is important. We can then look at the quality of confidentiality, a very important quality in counseling. You will remember, if you saw an earlier presentation on the steps in counseling, that in the step of entry in preparing the counselee for the counseling session, that the counselor stressed that what was shared would be confidential. It will go no further from this room. And it is important to keep what you are saying confidential. If ever the counselee in your church or community starts hearing what they share with you all over the place, this can be one of the most destructive things that a Christian can do. It will make the counselee disillusioned in Christians and Christianity. It can in fact cause a counselee to sometimes lose his or her faith. It can also make it much more difficult for a counselee to seek help in the future, so that those problems can remain with the counselee, grow worse and worse until some serious things can happen. So confidentiality is very important. And if you are trying to find persons in your church to function as counselors, lay leaders, make sure that that person or those persons are capable of keeping confidences. Otherwise, it is going to cause a lot of problems. We have discussed the various skills that are involved in counseling. We have looked at the qualities of the effective counselor. The qualities are something that you cannot just develop by practicing, the skills you can practice. The qualities have to come in this way, that you have to have these qualities within yourself. If some of you listening to me do not have all these qualities of warmth, empathy, caring, genuineness, respect, a non-judgmental attitude, an ability to keep confidences, etc. If you do not have these, all of them, then you have to seek to grow as a person. And one way in which you can grow is to seek to be filled with the Spirit, so that the Holy Spirit can change you and give you the fruit of the Spirit, which will then help you to develop these qualities as you grow as a Christian in the Spirit. I am now suggesting that you practice as you leave and as you go back to your churches and communities, that you practice these various skills. I hope you have written them down, and practice them in your counseling sessions until they become a natural part of your counseling technique.